with the Kenny Omega style of matches, and I'm not talking just about Kenny Omega, I'm talking about the style. To me, they're just not selling. And I think selling is part of the work.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, it's a peaceful night here with my guy, former TNA World Heavyweight Champion EC3, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion Vince Russo. You didn't know that we can get high off the screen as well, but I am sniffing a little bit of that sage. I'm getting a little secondhand buzz, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, fellas?
Good.
Fantastic. I'm with my best friends. I'm sorry.
Yes, he stopped himself though, so you get applause for the self-control.
I'm used to doing Uncle Vince before we do this one, so there's a little bit of profanity, but then we're on an off night. But I'm great. I'm surrounded by good people. Good vibes. Sage is burning. We're sniffling.
Good stuff. I can smell it. Yeah,
Mike, you sniffing? Mike?
You'll get some comments. Oh, he's getting old to stay. I knew it. That's the reason why he failed the drug policy back in 2015.
I will do a line of salt and then take a shot of tequila and put a lime in my eyes, and people can think whatever, and I'll do it live on this show if you want me to.
There you go.
I'm free to party.
A line of salt, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's talk about the shooting from the hip, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Roberts said that Kenny Omega is better than Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Omega responded, and this is what Omega said. He said, high praise from an absolute master of psychology. Now I can see why I was mostly safe from at Lance Hoyt or Lance Archer all these years. So the question is, do you trust me? EC3, what are your thoughts on Jake Roberts praising Kenny Omega in this way?
Is Jake drinking again? I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh my. No, hey, if a living legend like Jake the Snake Roberts, the master of psychology, pays you such a compliment, what am I going to do? Be mad at him for accepting it? Like, he's very proud of who he is. He's a very talented athlete. He's a very, skilled professional wrestler. If Jake Roberts thinks that, run with it. Good for you, Kenny. That's a nice little notch in your bedpost of good vibes and, good affirmations. So, it doesn't matter what I think? No, because it's like, why compare apples and oranges and tangerines and pears? Like, dude, Ric Flair, one of the best of all times. Shawn Michaels, probably in my opinion, the best of all time. Kenny Omega, one of the best of the new generation. Like, why argue? There's no Mount Rushmore. Nothing matters short of the fact one high-level Hall of Famer paid you a great compliment. Take it. Enjoy it. I would have even been more brash about it. Actually, he's kind of humble. Because there's one way to play it. He could have been very humble, like, oh, I don't deserve this accolade from him, though I do appreciate it. He kind of just, yeah, all right, that's high praise, that's cool. But, in another life, you could have just been like, Rick who?
That would have been funny. That would have been funny. Yeah, Vince, what do you think, man? Do you think that this was hogwash for Jake Roberts to make such a bold statement there? Do you think it had merit, or do you think that he was just kind of talking off the cuff like Jake Roberts does?
Bro, listen, here's where I think how a match is viewed has really gone this way. Okay? To me, part of being a great worker, and obviously we got a great worker in between us, and I think he will vouch for this. Chris, part of being a great worker is selling. That is part of the work. Shawn Michaels was a great seller. Ric Flair was a great seller.
One of the best, if not the best.
With the Kenny Omega style of matches, and I'm not talking just about Kenny Omega. I'm talking about the style. To me, they're just not selling. And I think selling is part of the work. So if you're not selling, I am not looking at that as a great match. I mean, I'm just not. But I think, especially, guys like Meltzer and stuff like that, it's a whole different way of how they weigh things today. It's a whole different way. And I'm big on selling, bro. I am big. I was watching the show just last night, Raw, bro, with Dawkins and Damian Priest. And there was so many things that should have been the finish of the match, and guys are kicking out and going on like nothing ever happened. To me, that's where you really lose the believability, man. But that's my opinion.
To your point, Vince, back to Jake Roberts, what if someone kept kicking out of DDTs?
Oh my God, bro. Forget about it. Forget it.
Especially when he would just, slap the back and just kind of cinch that thing in and just lay down. And so 1, 2, kick out. Oh, what?
Yeah. Think about that.
I completely agree with Vince, too, on the aspect of selling is very important for my personal preference of professional wrestling or sports entertainment. And he's absolutely right. Shawn Michaels, probably the greatest seller of all time. Yeah. Ric Flair, one of the best, obviously. Although, if we think about it, if we go back to like Ric Flair, 80s world champion, I mean, the amount of times he got thrown off the top rope, you'd eventually, like the amount of times Sting gorilla pressed him and dropped him on his back, that would be residuals if selling were real. But
selling makes people look so good, though, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, back to Flair. Sting pressing him, Luger pressing him, Nikita pressing him, TA. Like, he's giving all of these people, making them look good by selling. So, yeah, go ahead.
Selling is dramatic. Selling sells tickets.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the question was, what do you think of Jake's comments? Like, he's entitled to his opinion. What I think of Kenny's acceptance, I think, hey, you could have been a little more brash, Omega, but that's cool too. Selling is super important though, and that's what makes it the art to me.
Yeah.
Well, the athleticism and the movements that Omega's capable of, and the conditioning and the stamina, is an amazing feat. Trust me, for in-ring like cardio and things like that, he's got quite a motor on him. But at the same time, the matches that we're talking about are these, big high-end, probably Japanese, matches, whereas Ric Flair did that his style, not as crazy, but very physical and very demanding every night forever. Yeah. Same with Shawn. Like, Shawn didn't take a night off. And granted, it's not as intense as maybe a 7-star Japanese match, but what's the story with Shawn that there was a pay-per-view, but he thought it was off the air and he was working, I think it was Bulldog, and he was like giving the house show effort, which was incredible apparently, but then he found out it was actually televised, and then he had a fit because he didn't even do even more for it. So, that's just things to contemplate.
Yeah, I can appreciate that too. Yeah, it's just two different eras of styles, really, too. I mean, the debate is which one. I mean, do you even argue if there's a comparison there? Old school traditionalists, like myself, I think that there is an argument there as far as you don't break that doesn't need to be fixed. And I think, the old school traditional style is something that really helps put over your opponent more than yourself. And so that's my argument when it comes to stuff like that. A lot of the matches that we see puts yourself over. It's just kind of like super kick, bounce off the ropes. Okay, super kick you, and then you bounce off the ropes, and then we super kick each other, and all of a sudden, this is awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, just imagine Shawn Michaels doing something like that. It wouldn't work. So.
Well, one super kick worked and he won. So I guess who's better?